Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. If y'all don't know, like recent news in Japan, there's been like an idol who's been like murdered in broad daylight, and apparently she was like live streaming, and the dude, like I think he was like a stalker, so I don't even know why he did it, but apparently like the dude saw the live stream and recognized like the area she was live streaming, and like pulled up to her and just like stabbed her, bro, like in broad daylight.
Has left an
But
entire country
today
in
we're
a
gonna be looking
state
about the
of
story behind it,
absolute
more
shock.
information, I
On the
guess.
11th of March 2025, a 22-year-old influencer by the name of Mogami was stabbed live on stream in broad daylight Japan.
Bro, she
It's
was
already
still
quite
streaming when
rare
it
to find a
happened.
murder in this country, but what's even more rare is a violent crime of this nature where the victim gets stabbed over 30 times. So
30, bro, 30 times? I mean, I knew she got stabbed about 30 times repeatedly. That's just gruesome, bro. Like, what?
it's no wonder that people weren't just shocked, they were visibly confused. Everyone's asking themselves, how did this happen?
Is this
What
a
led
dude?
this person to commit such a violent act? But the publications are asking themselves the same questions, with many Western ones, like the New York Times, not having any of the important details when reporting on it, making this out to be yet another parasocial case, with some even saying that it's another case of misogyny, but it's not that simple. In fact, this incident goes back years. She knew the man and had a hand in making him gradually lose his mind up until this point. It doesn't get crazier than this, and we're going to talk about everything from the beginning, so let's do this. So Irie Sato was a 22-year-old live streamer who went by the name Mogami online. The website she used to stream was whowatch.tv. Japanese people typically call it
This is like YouTube. It's like the YouTube of Japan.
Watch. She was very active on there and was one of its top performers. Before passing away, she had reached around 2,600 followers, which is apparently really big for this website. Her main area of expertise was just chatting streams, talking to her chat and interacting with them. Sometimes she'd do these creative challenges, going outdoors or talking to strangers, but in a nutshell, for her, it was all about her community. And speaking of community, this is where Kenichi Takono comes in. A 42
Yeah, bro, he looks like the type of guy who'd be stalking like their idol, bro. You all would generally be surprised how many like idol pop stars in like Korea, Japan, how much of them like have stalkers that look like this. Like, it's very common, bro. And especially, I literally reacted to a video of a cosplayer who had like the same situation with like a stalker. Like, no, I think she wasn't Japanese or Korean. She was like, I think, a foreigner, but she was popular for cosplaying. One dude, I don't know where he's. I think he was even from Korea or Japan. Like, generally like stalked her, bro, all the way back to the States, bro. Like, that's crazy.
year old man who had found her stream and really liked her personality. He had found her in December of 2021 and very quickly started to donate money to show his support. At his peak, he was donating over 100,000 yen a month. That is not a small amount of money today, being $674, but back then, when the yen was stronger, it
Wait,
was
what?
closer to
Wait,
today,
what?
being 670,000
Wait, how much? Wait, what?
yen money to show his
A
support.
month?
At his peak, he was donating over 100,000 yen a month. That is not a small amount of money today, being $674,
bro?
but back then, when the yen was stronger, it was closer to $1,000 per month. This
Damn.
quickly caught Ai's attention because at the time, she wasn't a full-time streamer yet, she was still working at a restaurant. After having donated over 400,000 yen to her in the first few months of 2022, I decided to reach out to Takano directly and message him on the Line app. This is when they would first get in touch. For both of them, this was the beginning of the end. This is when their problematic relationship would start to take place. And now we have access to these conversations.
Bro, I can't understand it, bro. But just looking at the emojis, I could kind of make a guess of what the chat was about, bro. Cause just look at this. You got the emoji of like the motherfucker getting hit from the back. You got the wet emoji with the prayer. Like, what?
Because they leaked after the incident. On September 2022, she would start to ask him to lend her money directly, not through tipping on the stream, directly to her bank account. One of the first examples of this was her saying that she forgot her wallet at her job and that she's really strapped for cash, saying that she'll pay him back as soon as the next day or the day after. She also specified, I want the money transferred to the cash card I have at home, preferably right now. This was at 7 p.m. on September 8th, 2022. Within a minute, Takano responded, can I just transfer it now? Asking how much do you need? And her saying that she needs a few tens of thousands of yen. But this was only the beginning. And guess what? Even though she said that she was going to repay him the day after or the day after that, she didn't. She only kept asking for more. Not even 6 days after saying that she had lost her wallet and needed a few thousands to last her for the next day, she went ahead and asked for another 20,000 yen. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. He said he couldn't do it with his card, and then she was like, well, what about a direct transfer from your bank account then? And Takano would always find a way. She would do this almost every week for a while,
Bro,
right? Here,
she like is legit draining this man's wallet dry, bro. Like dry, like dry, bro. The thing is, I'll never understand this. But why do guys do this? Like, why do they send money to people they don't know just because they're pretty? Like that, then that would never make sense to me. Like you're legit, especially like OF models, bro. Like why do guys pay for the subscription, pay the chat with them, pay for whatever? Like legit, I bet a person will pay like thousands of thousands just for a person to just for a girl to say their name. Like it's crazy to me. Like I don't understand that mindset. You're legit throwing your money away for people you don't know. Like in this scenario, if someone asks me for money, I'm not sending them nothing, bro. Unless it's a friend or a family, bro. That's it. Like legit.
asking for 50,000 yen, the amount would always keep going up and the excuses would get crazier.
It's a
Like, for
close friend or
example,
family
this is a
member,
bad
bro.
translation,
Other than
but
that,
this is
no,
her
bro.
pretty much saying that her sister's pregnant and she can't take care of the baby, so she needs money to help her. And still, Takano would send her money. And around more than a month after starting to ask him for money, not only did she keep insisting, things started to get very disturbing. Takano would send Ai a message saying, I'm worried, and this was in relation to his financial situation after giving her so much money. So she responded by saying, hey, where did you get the money from? And here's what he had to say. This right here is a bad translation, but what he's saying is Eiffel and Raiku, two of the biggest and most well-known loan companies in Japan. This meant that Takano had been taking on
Getting
loans to
loans,
send her
bro,
money
to
whenever she
give
would
her
ask because she
money?
was asking so consistently and he didn't have a stable job. So what does she respond with? She says, I want you to borrow from another company different from Eiffel and Reiku because I need 50,000 yen right now, arguing that she has loans to pay. So she saw that he was indebted to two different credit companies, and instead of saying, you know what, you should stop, she asks him to get indebted to a third company too. And this is when he reveals something even more disturbing. He says, it's really tough. In fact, soon it will be revealed that I lied and borrowed it. So to get the loan, he had to fake his income and other details about his employment. And again, this was her chance to say, you know what? Let's lay off this. I'll find someone else or I'll find another solution. No, she triples down and says, I looked into it. And it turns out that if you have a job that qualifies you as a self-employed person or you're receiving the money in a tax-friendly way, you can still borrow the money even if you can't prove it, so it wouldn't be a lie. And then he specified very clearly, I lied about
Bro,
my...
bro, if you're really doing this much work and this much research just to get cash and scam people, at that point, just get a job. Like you could have spent so much time working for yourself or getting a job, doing like she does social media. Obviously, if she has a lot of followers, she could obviously make money off that, like sponsorship deals and stuff. She could have been working her butt off doing that, but instead, she's here out hustling people, bro, out of their own actual money, bro. It's crazy. This doesn't justify what he did. What he did was terrible. You shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna be honest. He should have sued her or something.
annual income and working
But I
hours.
don't think
But
I
the
don't even think
conversation still
that was
goes
even
on and
word.
she keeps insisting. Even if you don't have your personal information registered as a regular employee, you can still pass the screening and it's often impossible to confirm, so there's no way they'll find out if it's true or not. I went through because I couldn't confirm it. So I want to point out the fact that she was an expert at this, as if she's done this multiple times before. Even a financial advisor wouldn't know all this. So it does beg the
Nah, for
question,
real.
was he
She
her
did her
only
research.
victim at this point? We still don't know. He also states that he's been ignoring the credit companies and that he'll probably be getting a lump sum bill because he's been ignoring them. Also specifying that the billing address that he put was his parents' house. So his entire family was implicated at this point, but she just didn't care. He says, I'm getting scared of lying to borrow money now. And then she says, there's nothing I can do. I did it once. And then Takano says, so whatever happens, happens. So at this point, yeah, you might be asking yourself many questions. Why is this guy doing this? Well, look, from all the text messages that leaked, he wasn't perverted. He never asked for any nudes or anything weird. It seemed that he just really liked watching her streams. She reached out to him for help and he just couldn't say no. But even if he wanted to say no, She was very good at emotionally manipulating him, as evidenced by these messages. Look at this. He tells her in the beginning of November 2022 that he had applied to Raiku, right, the credit agency, to get more money to gift to her. She replies with, yeah, with this emoji. Takano then says, I hope I can borrow it, with a cute emoji. 15 minutes later, what does she reply with? She says, I want to die if I can't borrow money. Takano says, don't say that. I replies with, I want to do it. So this is complete and utter emotional manipulation. This is the
Yo, she pulling out that card, bro. I want to die. For real, bro. You already have enough money, bro. How much do you need from it? And he's a fan, bro. You really doing this to your own fans?
disgusting. But obviously, it gets worse. He falls asleep briefly for around more than an hour. He says, I fell asleep, then says, I stay alive. Then she says, Takano, I can't live without you. Then he replies with, I'm happy. Me too, I can't live without you. And then Mogami finishes off the conversation by saying, thank you as always. I love you. Yeah. I don't think it's too crazy to assume that Takano might have thought that she was into him, that she, I don't know, appreciated him as more than a friend. Maybe that's what he was hoping for, but he never really expressed that in text messages. He was just always happy to help. But then, Takano's fantasy was cut short when the creditors came knocking. He had given her over 2.5 million yen, and back then that was over $20,000.
20K, bro.
With 1 million yen out of those 2.5 million being from creditors. So around the end of January 2023, he started asking for his money back, at least gradually, not all of it at once, saying, hey, listen, tomorrow, please start to pay me back. I replies with, sorry, can it be 2 days instead? He says, well, okay, fine, just please, on the 2nd of February. Then on the 2nd of February, he says, please deposit, what's going on? You said on the 2nd, so I moved it to the 2nd. The next day he says, please give me the money back. And on the 5th of February, he says, you're not going to pay me back anymore? Mogami then replies, this is a really bad translation. What she actually said was, no, I am going to give it back. And then Takano says, is that so? This is when she would pretty much ghost him. She would not reply to him anymore. 6 days later, Takano says, I'm barely making ends meet, so unless you transfer the money, I won't be able to pay anything in advance. Please transfer the money. A couple days later, I guess I won't get my money back. A few days later, are you willing to refund the money? Nothing. He was just talking to a brick wall. But of course, for him, it only got worse. Not only were the creditors after him, but he was witnessing—
You messed up, buddy. You messed up, bro. You gave a girl you don't know all 20K, bro. 20K, which is about 2 million yen. And you're really expecting her to pay you back, bro. First of all, she couldn't even, she was like, let's be realistic right now. She couldn't afford stuff, right? She was telling you she couldn't afford her payment. She had her payment due. How do you expect her to pay you back if she asking you to take out loans and shit? Like, that makes no sense. Like, I don't know how you actually expected your money to come back.
her live stream and get a lot of money from live streams, while at the same time celebrating the fact that she had found a fiancé, that she was about to get married, and that they both were living in a high-rise apartment together, meaning that she was financially well off, and yet he hadn't seen a single cent returned from her. Takano was very frustrated, understandably, and losing a lot of hope, but interestingly enough, he sought to resolve this legally. He had lent her money, he was in big financial trouble, but in 2023, he sued her in order to get his money back. And in December of 2023, he actually won the lawsuit. The judge had ordered her to pay him back everything he's lent her, so 2.5 million yen, with an interest rate of 3% per year from December 8th, 2023 until the payment is made. So the court fully sided with Takano. He was completely in the right.
What happened
because at
then?
the time he had no stable income and was living in poverty. So obviously him winning that lawsuit was a relief. At least it seemed that way until he realized that it didn't really change much. Mogami would start to reference this lawsuit on stream sometimes in a passive-aggressive manner, saying things like, I borrowed money and I'm going to court, or the comments from a certain individual saying give me my money back were so awful that I blocked him using the block function. She would even say that all she had to do was pay back all the money to get rid of this lawsuit in a nonchalant tone, as if it wasn't a big deal. The reality of these two could not be more different. In the court records of this lawsuit, Takano had said, I had feelings for her and wanted to help her if she was in trouble, and there she was nonchalantly saying, yeah, I guess I just have to pay it back. Additionally, since Takano watched her streams regularly, he understood that she was making a lot of money through tips and donations. She had a platinum badge on FuWatch, which meant that she was one of the platform's top streamers. There are multiple ranks on this website, right? And typically when you get to the point where Mogami was, you're making a monthly income of 300,000 to 400,000 yen in donations. And still, he was seeing nothing.
So like, how much is it? That's like How much that is in USD? Like 1,000 or something? Like 2,000 a month or 3,000 a month?
Thing. Even though the court had ordered her to pay him back, he was not seeing a single cent. But obviously, the salt in the wound did not end here.
Bro, how, bro? So he won a lawsuit. I don't know why they don't force her to actually pay. Like, there's no way you win a lawsuit in court and then court don't actually like make her pay. Like, they should actually have a punishment if you're not paying her back. Like, this could have easily be prevented, bro, if the law over there was stricter, bro. Because if it was here in the United States, bro, you'd be screwed if you're not paying that shit back.
She had a Twitter account that is private, so we don't know much about it. But some people found another Twitter account of hers that was fully about poker, with the first post she had posted on this account being her holding a bag full of chips worth 542,000 yen.
Bro, she really out here flexing her money, bro. While this dude who hasn't gotten his money or even a cent back is just, bro. I
So that could explain where a lot of Takano's money might have gone. So at this point, Takano felt completely cornered. He had tried to help someone who he really liked, getting indebted to two different companies and living in poverty. And even though he had gone through the legal means of getting his money back, nothing had changed, and he was seeing the same woman who scammed him and played with his feelings continue to stream and thrive, making a lot of money monthly. Eventually, during the year of 2024, something had cracked in him, and in 2025, he made up his mind. He sent her one final message on March 7th, 2025, blaming himself for falling in love and being deceived, and asking her one last time, please give me my money back. I'm in the negative because of the consumer loans I borrowed to lend to you and I can't live. Asking, can you somehow pay me back at least 10,000 yen, which is not even like $100? Adding that he'd been taking a lot of pills recently and had been sleeping all day because of how depressed he was. But of course,
bro.
he was ignored. 4 days later, Mogami had gone live, streaming around the Shinjuku area. Takano saw this, recognized the area, and decided to go pay her a visit. He took Oyama Station, which was the closest to him, and rode close to 2 hours down to Shinjuku. She was initially streaming around the Takanadobaba station, but then made her way down to the Shin Okubo station. So he took the metro and he followed her. This is a map that kind of tells you how it happened. He started here, he went down here. She kept walking this way, and so then he followed her that way too. And that's where the incident took place. Eventually, he was able to make out where she was streaming from, so he made his way to her tripod setup.
Damn, bro. Like, bro, why is it always okay? Why is it always this, like when you see like in movies and they disguise themselves? Why do they always have to wear like a baseball cap and a mask? Like, why is that like the always go to disguise, bro? Like, well, why is it?
And that's where he struck. Multiple times, repeatedly, violently, with a blank look in his eyes. The knife he had used was 13 centimeters in length. He showed up with a backpack, and there were 2 other knives in there as well. He had stabbed her over 30 times in the neck, in the chest, in the shoulder, and initially she was screaming help, but then went silent. And I mean, think about that for a second. 30 times, just doing the same motion over and over again. That's not normal, right? None of this is normal.
Bro, it's like she turned it. I'm gonna be honest, bro. It's her fault for turning him into a monster, and I'm not justifying what he did. What he did was terrible and evil, but we're not gonna play. We have to play devil's advocate. What she was doing is scummy, bro. It was scummy, bro, and she got what she deserved, bro. But no, let me rephrase. She didn't deserve to die, but she got what was coming to her, bro. Because like the way she was being scummy and shit, and like this man was poor and shit, like you could have just like predicted it. That like this man would have went crazy, bro.
This is very violent, and the fact that he had a very blank stare made it worse. In fact, he kept
Blank stare
talking
is
to her
crazy.
as she was laying on the ground. At that point, the screen was completely black. You could hear sirens in the background, and you could also hear him
went live
asking
after
her
this?
while she lay on the ground, "Are you dead yet?" while kicking her. To say that there was fear and confusion is an understatement. The entire place was swarmed with police and paramedics. And to add to the confusion, people didn't even know who was actually stabbed. This tweet right here with almost 500,000 views said that she was a voice actress and a live streamer, stabbed by an anti-fan while streaming on the Japanese site Whowatch. Mogami was not a voice actress, she was a live streamer, and that's because they were confusing her with a voice actress by the same name. This Mogami was being flooded with emails, DMs, calls, messages, thinking that it was her that was stabbed. Her agency had to put out a statement saying, listen guys, first off, condolences to whoever just got killed, but please stop flooding my messages, it's not me. And as you can see, this was pretty damn significant, seeing that this post has over 30 million views. Now, when it comes to Japanese people, the reactions varied greatly. Very shortly after the stabbing incident, people made up a makeshift memorial. But you might have noticed the fact that many of these news outlets, their videos that they posted on YouTube, are heavily disliked. And that's because for some Japanese, they're siding way too much with the victim rather than the plight of the person who committed the crime. You can see this in the comments, with this one having over 2,400 likes saying, "There's no way you can borrow 2.5 million yen and just say, I don't know, block? I can't approve of murder, but I can understand the feeling of murderous intent." This post on Twitter echoes a different statement saying, "Whatever they do to you, don't stab them to death," reminding people.
All right, bro. Look, in my opinion, she not deserve to die, but she did have it coming for her. Like you legit stole and robbed the man and manipulated him into thinking you were like I don't know someone like in love with him or some shit. Even though you don't, I think she did say I love you. I don't even know, but you were manipulating emotionally. He was a fan who cared. Obviously, the problem with that is that you gotta understand with your idols and stuff, with people who like you know streamers and stuff. Yeah, it's cool to a certain degree, but don't overdo it, bro. Like they're not your friends at the end of the day. They're just streamers. They don't even know you, bro. Like you're just a fan and you're a supporter, which is good because fans and supporters is like it's top. But at the end of the day, you're not like what I don't know how to really explain, but like he was too deep in. What I'm basically trying to say, he was too connected, too locked in with her, and really cared about her so much that he was legit giving out money, bro, and taking loans for her. Like that's actually like not normal, bro. And she took advantage of that, and then she got what was coming, bro. I'll be honest, but she deserved to die though. I don't think that.
That Takano had kicked her when she was down after the stabbing, so don't blame the victim, he's in the wrong here. There was a lot of discussion in the comments section of the article on Yahoo Japan detailing the incident. The most upvoted ones echoed the fact that yes, they do feel sorry that she had to be murdered, but at the same time, they felt sorry for the perpetrator. So as you can see, this is a very complex situation. It's not black and white at all. And in the end, I think it doesn't have to be. I think multiple things can be true at once. It's true that murder is too far. He is definitely wrong for that. But at the same time, it's not like she was
Yeah,
innocent either.
she
She
wasn't
manipulated
innocent,
him
bro.
hard, and she was
That's what.
really good at it, making many people wonder if she had done it before and if there are other victims. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't conclude this without any bloodshed. Guys, be safe out there, and if someone asks you for money, know your limits, because if it's too good to be true, then it probably is, okay? Stay safe out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll
Bro, especially it's a fucking job, bro. Like there's little like pyramid schemes and like jobs that aren't even real. That like you see a good job, right? And you see like the income is high and stuff, right? If it's too good to be true, it probably is, bro. I'm gonna be 100%. Because especially if you do an interview and they have to say you have to pay for training, that's when you know it's rigged. But yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.